Hello, 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 people of the internet. Once again, Ian Altsor, the Freedom Astrologer, here, sitting again with one of my friends and a very, very good astrologer, Donny. And we're diving deep again. I'm going to repeat myself maybe even more times this time in this video. But again, we're going deep into the psychic realms and maybe the deeper topics. So, Donny, what do you have for us today?
Well, today I think we're going to continue with our Psychic Intuitive series. And this time we're talking about clairsentience
Mm.
or clear feeling. That's what it is. And clairsentience, I mean, at least to me, the definition here would be like it is a form of psychic sensory perception created by an ability to feel the vibrations emanating from the body's energetic field. And these vibrations reflect the inner nature of someone out into the world. And they can resonate from certain areas of the body where where there is energetic distortion or states of dis-ease. And it is usually activated by the development of the navel or sacral chakra, and is often referred to as gut feeling. Like I'm sure we all know, you know, at some point in our lives that we have this feeling deep in our guts that something is that we can actually bypass the mind to actually feel into something, whether is it for or against us. And when we experience a gut feeling about a situation, person, or place, we are tuning into this vibrational resonance. And emotionally sensitive people usually have more highly developed clairsentience, and like sponges, they are more likely to absorb the vibrations of people around them. At first, it can be somewhat disorienting and make it difficult to differentiate between one's own emotions and someone else's, for that matter. However, once mastered, clairsentience is a powerful gift, and it is a wonderful tool to our spiritual growth and growth of those around us via an outward rippling effect as well. And do you have anything?
Yeah, I will add a little bit here. It's obviously what I said a lot about other people and feeling their feelings, but it's what I point people's attention also to places and buildings and um, you know geographical locations. Let's put it that way. Like whenever you go to a specific place, house, maybe you're visiting someone, you get a like a whoop, in your body. You feel like the energy is kind of, maybe it's stuck or maybe it's open. You start to notice these things in your body whenever you move or let's say switch the location where you're at. I think it's also important to kind of have that factor in mind, because it can all, like when you haven't started to, let's say, develop this gift or understand it, it can be very confusing. Like
It
i'm
is.
i'm feeling like I was just feeling like this, and now I switched. I like drove to my friend's house, like entirely different feeling in my body. And this is one of the reasons why it can be happening, because the vibration in that building or home or flat or house or whatever it is can be totally different there.
Yeah, because it's like this clairsentient Clair ability is really all about receiving clear information about others or places, like what Ian just mentioned, um, through your own emotional responses and sensations inside the body or on the skin.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And this really can highly sensitize your sensory perception. I'm talking about either like through your skin or through emotions or both. And this really opens you up to detect the energies of an environment. Also, I find that clairsentient people who exhibit very strong tendencies are usually uncomfortable in dense public places. They also can be highly perturbed when they're around a lot of electrical equipment because of the distortion in vibrational resonance between their body and the and what's around them as well. I would also add that clairsentience is the most common of the 4 Clair abilities. Like we're talking about clairvoyance, audience, now clairsentience, and claircognizance, which we'll cover later. And going back to that phrase of gut feeling or gut instincts, is really an ability to be able to read the emotions of others. Or on a bigger level, it's about sensing the collective energy of a room. It all falls under this umbrella of clairsentience. And I wonder, Ian, though, do you have instances where you're about to engage in an astrological reading with a client, and minutes after looking at them or minutes before starting the session, you get goosebumps?
Yeah.
Because that's also part of being clairsentient as well. You literally pick up certain vibrational energy from the other person. It's quite a bit.
I want to throw in a little piece here, because it's very, very what I've been observing, even let's say when I'm preparing a written one or a written reading for a person, I can start to feel the things in my body, what they're sometimes what they're going through. But let's say when a person has a very strong Pisces, the way I experience even doing the reading, I'm like, ooh, like even it's hard for me to focus. So I have to kind of dial in really strongly. But when I'm doing reading for a Virgo, let's say, I'm very, even when I read it after, when I read what I've written after, it's very, very detailed. And my mind is like super, like very specific on details. So I get kind of like, I think I'm going almost into the energy of the person who I'm doing this for. So yeah,
oh, wow.
Certainly I've experienced this.
So like clairsentience, just to bring it back a little, like on top of being like clear feeling or clear sensing, there's also other terms, or gut feel, which terms, whatever you are comfortable in terms of terminology. It is actually one of the most common Clair abilities, but it's also the most down to earth of all intuitive or psychic gifts as well. And someone who actually feels very deeply, the ability to feel the present, past, or future, physical and emotional states of others, without the use of the normal 5 senses, be it smell, vision, touch, hearing, and taste. But I would say that altogether, it all boils down to being sensitive in changes in energy. And this brings me to my next point of actually Pluto is deeply linked with clairsentience, or with this Clair ability, because Pluto really represents like the primal or raw spiritual energy that brings along with it. And subterranean feelings, what's actually buried underneath in the emotional plane, and digging down deeply into the psychic ground to locate the truth in terms of releasing the repressed within. So which planet would you attribute clairsentience to, personally?
I do like Pluto here mostly, and I think we talked about bringing in the sign of Scorpio as well. Maybe I would a little bit bring in Mars a tiny bit here, because it's still connected to Scorpio and Pluto, and it's the natural ruler of the first house, so it's kind of like the body and you feel it. But I would say like the deeper part of it, it's still Pluto, for sure, because Pluto is so deep in it can, I think it can, how I experience Pluto is it goes to depths that sometimes it's very hard for the mind to understand where this Pluto, this deep feeling energy even goes to, and it brings those kind of feelings. And sometimes I don't know even what they bring energies, up to the surface for you to experience, for you to kind of translate
Mm.
into the material realm, or for others if you're working with people. It's a very, very deep energy here. For sure.
I was thinking that how people can tell that they are clairsentient, what signs they can exhibit, because there'll be a very good indicator, like how do people know that I have this? What are the day-to-day or mundane practical like stuff that I need to look out for if I want to know that whether I have it? Because it's the most common one that's out there among the 4 Clair abilities. And you'll be able to feel it a lot because it's the most down to earth one of the psychic intuitive talents or gifts that we're going to discuss in this series. So you need to ask yourself whether you sense other people's motives, feelings, and next moves without even greeting or interacting with them directly. There's one of them. Or do your loved ones see you as the go-to person when it comes to gut feelings? That means you're known to have some kind of accurate prognosis, that's coming from your gut that people recognize, that what you're known for. I also encountered that, people tend to use the phrase, I feel or I sense that a lot.
Yeah.
Usually subconsciously, they do have that clairsentient ability, but it may not even occur to them. They keep on using the phrase, I feel or I sense that a lot. People may prefer to experience things as well more than others. And because we're dealing with Pluto, right, which can take you to the deep realms. So the counterbalance of Pluto's sign, Scorpio, Pluto's ruling sign, Scorpio, is the opposite sign of Taurus. So for clairsentient people, I find that they really enjoy nature, animals, and wildlife just to ground themselves. And to actually recharge themselves, they need quiet time alone for that. Yeah. And the next one will be like being sensitive to your environment, sensitive to energies around you. One is being capable to experience both or feel both inner and outer energy in a more intuitive way as well. The next one I've written here is getting goosebumps or tingles for no apparent reason. I'm sure all of us at some point would have gotten that sensation, but people who are like more skewed towards clairsentient this ability will experience it more, and it can just come out of nowhere. Clairsentient people would usually be known as empaths as well, and very empathic to your friends' emotions and energies. And large crowds and busy places can drain or easily overwhelm you. There's very much of the Plutonian like wanting to distance themselves away, and I really tune into that purity of energy, be it within and also around them. So having large crowds and busy places just don't cut it. I wonder if during your readings, whether you pick up on the mood of your clients, their emotions and thoughts as well, or you can sense like the other person's intentions when you give readings.
I would say personally sometimes, but it's very much what I experience, what I feel is like usually when a person comes to me, there's usually a topic, usually a deeper topic that is, let's say, meant to be discovered in that, let's say,
Yeah.
meeting. Let's put it that way. And
It's almost like what they ask isn't like what is really bugging them.
this is basically like, this is the like tip of the iceberg, and like the iceberg starts to melt, and then the deeper one starts to come. But this is one of the ways you can notice this, is like that whenever you enter a meeting, this can also be like a meeting room, whatever other place you can use this. But when you go into that meeting and you feel like the energy of the situation is kind of like stuck, so in your body it can feel like almost like like some sort of tension is there, like something is holding, or like squeezing it almost in the body. And once you start kind of unraveling that a little bit, you ask, and they speak, and you mention some of the aspects maybe, and you ask them more questions, you start to notice that the sensation or feeling in your body starts to unravel, and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And once like the core issue is touched upon, then you're like, it's like a liberation or the freedom. That's why one of the reasons I would call myself the freedom astrologer is like that. This is what we actually want. This is what, like, one of I think my work is built upon, is like the sensation of liberation and feeling that you are, not imprisoned by your psychological impulses and thoughts and ideas, what Pluto represents a lot. And you're free from those, and you can live freely, energetically as well within your body. I think this, and you can test it. Yeah, go ahead.
So can I say that, like, piggyback on what you just said, do you usually get the comment or feedback that you easily relate to others and their situations?
I think I've gotten that a lot. Yes, maybe not. Not everybody says that, obviously, but yeah, mostly I've gotten that.
Because there's also like because wherever Pluto, because we're talking about Pluto as the main like attributor to clairsentience, it can also sensitize you a lot in a lot of ways. In order to like Pluto actually want to merge with another. So like if you go back to the definition, which I made much earlier in this video, is like you don't know sometimes whether is it your feeling or is it other people's feeling as well. And sometimes you might be called like too melodramatic or too sensitive. But you strongly feel within your being and your gut, like regarding certain situations, decisions, places and people. This can be like buildings and outside areas, like what Ian mentioned earlier, that's invisible to the physical senses.
I want to mention one good thing that you guys can really, anybody can try this out basically, is, let's say, maybe you're still in a corporate career, or you do like the corporate world, you prefer to stay there. Pay attention what starts happening at the end of days. So this is what I mean by this is around 5 p.m. ish or 6 p.m. ish, whatever the, in your country, the ending of the day is. If you start noticing some sort of anxiety within your body, it is most likely that you're picking up on the let's say the general anxiety in the area, because a lot of
floating in the air.
Exactly, because a lot of people during that time are like, oh my god, it's 5 p.m. I want to get the fuck out of here. The anxiousness, and they're looking at the time. If you pick up on that, you probably have this gift. So it's just a simple way to test it out in the real world.
I've also written here that for clairsentient people, one thing you have to note is that be aware of buying old stuff because you have the ability to feel or sense intuitive messages through physical touch or emotion. So for clairsentient people, if you go into a like vintage store and they touch something, for those really advanced ones, they may actually pick up on certain things as well,
For sure.
which
For
can be
sure.
overwhelming. And
But
this may actually, why I want to say that is because I actually went with a friend who's very like well developed in the clairsentient ability. And once she actually touched something that's been passed down via many generations that's being sold in the shop, her mood and emotions just changed suddenly for no apparent reason.
More intriguing.
So there is also like a, but she has well developed clairsentience, but she is not aware of it. And sometimes she really feels that she's like going crazy, or she's being known as the crazy one. So yeah, this is one of those that if you don't acknowledge it and give it space to develop, it can consume you, just like what Pluto does.
Yeah, and you mentioned what you mentioned again, like the crazy one. You know, people can, you know, literally start thinking that they're crazy, and because it can be so much, and you're tuning into so much, and the thoughts and the ideas and the feelings. Oh my God, you know, so this is one of the reasons I think Donny already mentioned. It's important also to take a little bit time away from those crazy moments and just like what is that I'm experiencing? What is it that I'm actually feeling? What is mine?
Wow.
What is mine?
Connect to nature, connect to animals, connect to
Yep.
wildlife. If you know Pluto is the main attributor of clairsentience and you're being overwhelmed by it, go to the opposite sign of Scorpio, which is Taurus, and ground yourself. Have some nourishing food that might help. Just go and walk barefoot on the ground and really like ground into the soil. That's what Taurus like really does, and it can bring polarity balance into yourself. Because otherwise you'll be always teetering at the boundary of one life form with another, between the visible and the invisible realm. So it can be pretty rough for some who has not come to terms with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just want to mention one thing though. Sometimes external life experiences, such as trauma, also ruled by Pluto, can really make one develop clairsentience on an accelerated speed. Because when you're perpetually under crisis, there will come a point whereby you will know that you will need to finally hone those instincts, primal instincts, which is Scorpio, which is linked to clairsentience as well. Be it that your life is or was at risk. This can come from like you possibly being attacked or severely abused. Because I've actually seen like people who have a history of like be it physical or sexual abuse growing up, they usually have those situations provided for them to develop their clairsentient abilities. Because it's almost like every day is like a survival struggle, and they have to really hone in on that that raw primal instinct. And they always have to act on the gut instinct before it comes to them, that situation, that unfavorable situation, they have to like somehow just bail.
So they can sniff it out basically.
I mean,
before it comes.
Pluto is also the bullshit filter.
For sure.
So you can sniff it from far and you just kind of react accordingly. Because you can just literally by split second, you can penetrate right into the situation of things, and call it out for what it is. And other people, if you have very strong clairsentient abilities, other people will feel uncomfortable around you because they sense that plutonic, all-consuming energy, auric stuff that you emanate.
It's almost like it's some people are very drawn to you, and some people are very much afraid of you because I don't know if it's totally subconscious or it's more conscious as well, but they can, I don't know, sense it feel it somehow, think it, that it's that you can do the penetrating into their psyche, into their deeper.
Because every time, like for example, like someone who's got very strong clairsentient ability, once their eyes shift to the person and really connect that eye contact, the other person will be so scared because they feel that you're seeing right through them, through their soul.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I mean, Pluto being a penetrating planet, for people who are like more, like their Pluto is perhaps very well connected in their chart, or having 8 house planets as well, a lot of them, it can really give them like an X-ray vision. Some even can develop telekinesis, like moving objects with your mind.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen proof yet. Let's put it that way. More personal.
Well, but this is like with the planetary linkage, it can, it can be one of those. Mm-hmm. Because Pluto is also the planet that you can change things at will. So you can change things with your mind. This can be like, okay, depending whether you use it for good or for otherwise. Okay, I just want to put it out there. Healing abilities, they're very good healers as well. And they can also be very good past life regression therapist. Because I talk about Pluto and the 8 houses where you come from karmically, to retrieve and heal memories from buried trauma, be it past or present lives. And you will find that clairsentience really comes through with mediums as well. When I say mediums, this can be like talking to the dead, or ghost channeling, for example, or just connecting with a loved one through a third party, which is that medium. They need to have very strong clairsentient abilities as well. Oh, and last but not least, Pluto, very strong Pluto, very strong 8th house, and also very strong scorpionic placements may also bring you all those potential gifts and talents. What do you have actually on your end?
Yeah, I think one of the first ones I want to mention is stellium in Scorpio.
Okay.
Obviously, a lot of right now the stelliums in that are involving Scorpio do have Pluto. I think my generation has Pluto in Scorpio. I can't remember when it started, but it's still like the millennials, somewhere around that.
I mean, in the 80s, right? Pluto was
in
a
80s,
Scorpio. Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah.
So a lot of millennials have Pluto in Scorpio. Also, Pluto in Cancer, in a water sign, can also be, let's say, an indication of this. And from ancient, I don't know, I don't really like ancient traditional, but some differences sometimes need to be made. The moon also ruled the body. So I do like when I see Pluto moon combination in some shape or form, square, opposition, conjunction, trine, sextile, maybe to a lesser. Wait. Again, we get to the point of like sextile, trine, a little bit lazy, maybe at times. Square, opposition, you're kind of forced into using it. Conjunction, there's an abundance of that energy that for you to use and to penetrate and to feel and get those insights.
So Pluto sitting near the luminaries, such as the moon or sun. Pluto in the first house or first house ruler, or you got stelliums in Scorpio. Or Pluto aspecting Neptune, in which we have, if you are born in the second half of the 21st century. Pluto aspecting Mercury as well. It may also bring that because Mercury is a sensory perception. Or Pluto in the 12th house or 12th house ruler as well.
And I want to mention Mars here. specifically a little
Yeah.
bit, because it's, you know, a lot of Martian energy is very physical, and Mars is one of the rulers, let's say, of the body and the natural ruler of the first house. So I know, you know, Pluto, Mars, especially in a difficult aspect, it's quite difficult to channel, but it is an indication that you might be getting these sensations, feelings into your body, in your body. You know, with the Pluto in play, it can be the fact that there is some kind of traumatic stuff there, trauma, you know, closed there. And this is maybe one of the reasons why it's kind of blocked, but it usually is still there. That's what I wanted to say. Even in difficult aspects. Yeah.
I mean, I found that Pluto, Mars, because I've got a few clients who have that in their chart, and either like during childhood, they're severely sick and they have to really fight for survival to live at a very young age. But on a more destructive way, I've actually seen Pluto, Mars hard aspects like having potential eating disorders as well. Like they somehow punish themselves, or like there's all this like brewing up of intensity of energies and darkness of energies they have to take it out on their physical body.
Like punish their physical bodies, basically.
Yeah, like some of them like develop anorexia, which I like just casually mentioned, and that client just cracked, you know what I mean, in front of me. But then they can be very good advocates of such causes later on in their life, because they themselves are survivors of such a journey.
I want to mention as well, like this is one of the keys with Pluto anyway, to transform this and help other people transform it later, you know. So it is super difficult. I know it from a personal experience, unfortunately. You know, but it's like the things you start to transform within yourself, be it, you know, what Donny just mentioned, very difficult topics of eating disorders and stuff like that. Maybe it's more physical trauma again for you to
or sexual trauma,
or sexual, very, very difficult to handle. Yeah. But it's still, whenever you find ways out of it, you will feel more powerful and empowered in the world, and that will help you lead other people through those difficult situations as well. So don't, you know, keep going, you know, if you're in a difficult situation, and there's always help, there's always somebody who can, you know, guide you through it and help you deal with it.
Yeah, I've also written a list of astro-significators. First thing that really comes to mind would be a water sign rising. Cancer, Scorpio, particularly Scorpio, but Cancer as well. Pisces is more like, Pisces as well. Why not? But I do get these Cancer and Scorpio energy more for rising signs. And when there's a stellium in these two signs, or even better in the first house, same sign as the rising sign in a water sign, it is even more indicative of that. The next thing I wrote is Neptune or Moon in the first.
Yeah, for sure.
And the next one, because as you mentioned earlier, Scorpio is not only co-ruled by Pluto, which is the modern ruler, is also traditionally ruled by Mars. So I've put here like a fire sign, Moon and or Mars. It can also help in terms of instinctively picking up some stuff.
Moon
and also
Moon in Aries. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go
ahead. Like yourself, okay, like you're giving away your chart. Mars in aspect to Uranus. It can also, because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So it's like Mars in aspects to Uranus can also bring that as well, that gut feeling that we've been talking about.
Would you say also then Uranus and Pluto in some sort of it's like an aspect there? Sextile,
if they are conjunct, yes, because like I think it's a Uranus-Pluto conjunction. I think I mentioned in the last video that there's a There's a generation, I think, born in 65 to 67. They have Uranus and Pluto conjunct in Virgo, that generation in the mid 1960s, opposing Chiron in Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Saturn in Pisces also joined in. So is that opposition. And I've got several clients from that generation, and they feel things very deeply. Because externally, you're also dealing with the like civil rights movements, right? And all those like it's a global phenomenon thing going on.
I want to mention one more that I just kind of remembered or came to me. Moon, like you said, in fire signs, and would be even more emphasized when it's in water houses. So
that can be as well.
4th, 12th, and 8th, and with the that combination
and with
is
the first as well, because it's the body. So like, because the next point I've written is Sun in 4th, 8th, and 12th house. That can also bring some kind of, because Sun and Mars being the traditional ruler of Scorpio are like, they are both very hot planets. And so their energetic auric field can be slightly larger than other elements. And so it can have the outreach of like sensing stuff around them. The other point is ascendant ruler in aspect to Moon and Neptune. This can also bring
Pluto and Mars as well.
Pluto and Mars to include that. Even better that Sun is in a water sign to start off with. Yeah. The next one I have is Sun in aspect to Neptune and Pluto. I usually will lump Pluto and Neptune together because in the second half of the 1900s, these two planets are in sextile all the time. And it's quite rare that, I think if you hit the early 2000s, then they start to separate a little bit, but now they've come back in a sextile. So if Sun and Pluto actually aspect each other, then there's usually like a Sun and Neptune aspect, whatever the aspect is as well. And this also concerns the Moon. So both luminary, Sun and Moon, in aspect to Neptune, Pluto. Heavy second house, 4th house, and 8th house, talking about stelliums. And also 12th house, of course.
12th,
yeah. And South Node in the water houses, 4, 8, 12. And if it's in water sign, there's even more emphasis.
So I would then add South Node with the ruler of the first, or ruler of the first, or maybe Mars as well.
Or South Node ruler is in contact with Mars, Pluto, as well. Just to add it in there. The last one will be like, we haven't talked about Venus.
We haven't.
So how about a Venus ruled Sun, Moon, or rising on Mars? Okay, in aspect to Neptune and or Pluto. This can be like a Taurus or a Libra, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Mars in aspect to Neptune and Pluto. One thing I would just like to add, for example, someone has got a Libra Moon in aspect to Neptune and Pluto. This means that you only can pick up information, psychic information in this case, accurately when you're working on a one-to-one basis. You can't work in groups. Because Libra is very much that connection with one-to-one rather than like to a group. So why I mentioned that is because I've got a client who's got a Libra Moon that it's in a yacht, actually, formation with Neptune and Pluto. and she works in a corporate environment, like you mentioned earlier. And she usually picks up like stuff from other people that's not hers.
Yeah.
And she get very antsy about stuff. And she just have to learn after her in our session about some ways to really disconnect and really, energetically, I would call it mind your own business.
Basically, but it's very important, especially in those environments, because there's so many people, so many emotions, so many deadlines, difficult situations. It's very common that if you work for someone there, you pick up on their energy, and maybe they have a meeting or deadline that they have to present something, and they are very anxious and fearful of it, and you're picking up on it and starting to kind of go into that anxiety as well. So you need to discern yourself. You need to see, like, do your own thing there, kind of.
Do you have any charts that talk about clairsentience?
Oh yes. Here we go, guys.
Let's see about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there it is. Can you see? There it is. So
this is so freaking obvious here.
This is the most. I think this is one of the most. This is one of the reasons why I love this chart. This is so freaking crazy obvious, but it's also to me like a pretty. Somebody out there is living with all of this Scorpio energy, and they need to ground it. They need to use it somehow. But let's say from a practical perspective, guys, if you see, obviously this many planets or influences in Scorpio, it kind of already is a given that the person, has this clairsentience. But it doesn't have to be, what we have here, like, 5, like South Node also in here. So we have so much in here. It doesn't have to be such a huge stellium in Scorpio. But just to indicate, or just to give you a practical example of what to look out for, and we see, Pluto in the first house, almost exact conjunction with the Sun as well there, and add to it the Moon, Mercury. I mean, this person can probably feel everything all the time that everybody else is experiencing.
Yeah.
Quite an
I'll just
intense
like
one.
to add though, because Saturn is also included in that stellium. Saturn is fear. And Saturn may actually block as well. So even though there's a lot of like Scorpio-like planets that we've just talked about as the significators with like Moon, Mercury, Sun, and Pluto, the Saturn can actually block it.
Yeah, Saturn in Scorpio isn't the easiest one.
Not allowing like the intensity to come in, because maybe like there's just too much to process. And
look at this. It also like you see Pluto, Sun conjunction. You also have Saturn and Moon conjunction as well. It's kind of like, even, I don't know, it can even be that in one part they're really taking in and they're really perceptive, and the other part is like even doubting the fact that all of this stuff is coming in and I don't know what I'm feeling and I don't even want to feel this. It can also manifest in real life like this as well, like being afraid of feeling that.
This celebrity is really banging on attracting an older parental figure as a marriage partner to ground. Because when I look at such a huge stellium in Scorpio, I look at what is in Taurus, and you got Ceres, the asteroid of nourishing and parenthood,
North Node.
And also descendant, 7th house cusp. And then I look at the Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn that provide some grounding as well. And I mean, I use like Jupiter pretty loosely. It can be for either sex, like the partner. because of the gender roles is like, it keeps evolving. So the partner, which is represented by Jupiter, is in the sign of Capricorn. So it's like someone older, preferably, as well. But of course, it's like the most direct way is to really, because seventh house, right? When we go back to the Taurus cusp, is how you connect with the world. So maybe like be more attentive to what you eat. Maybe eat more. Eat a whole bunch of food that's more grounding, hopefully. And not eat junk food, be more like clean eating, because like series in Taurus, right? And it's good quality food that you're putting into your system. That may also help. And practice inner stillness, which is very much Taurus and Scorpio axis. So maybe even meditation can help as well.
This person literally has to become an emotional master with this much Scorpio energy. You have to become really, really good at feeling deep emotions.
Yeah.
Feelings within your body. Needs time. It probably, we can see most likely not the easiest relationships with the father, ruler of the 10th MC, in exact conjunction with the Pluto. Some power manipulation games with the father there. The other, it's most issues with the father need to be resolved. Need to be really good at feeling your body feelings. Then you can probably, in this case, then you can probably use those gifts in a larger
and also
scale,
like
or a large scale.
What adds to the psychic intuitive nature of this person is that Chiron in the 8th house as well.
Yeah, there it is.
And also that Black Moon Lilith in a fiery sign, a fire sign. Lilith is also pretty clairsentient. That's what we somewhat missed out just now. But then the ruler of Aries, which is Mars, is in Capricorn, which can take quite some time to develop, or is either that she will only master it in her later years, Capricorn as well. Yeah. Anything more to add? It's pretty straightforward, right? This chart.
Pretty straightforward, guys. Just look out for this stellium. Okay. Just joking. But anyway, just if there's so many things in Scorpio, you can pretty much make that assumption pretty quickly.
I've got one example as well to share, and I've got the chart of the present Dalai Lama. Very interesting chart as well. To start off with, Sun and Pluto and Ascendant all in the watery sign of Cancer. And
in the first as well, yeah.
First as well. I use Placidus, unlike whole sign house system used by Ian just now. And the 10th house cusp, which is the MC, starts in the sign of Pisces, which is also another water sign. So water to start off with. What really struck me is that I really focus on that first house, Pluto, which is one of the significators of Clairsentience. The ruler of that Sun, Pluto, and Ascendant, which is Moon, it is in Virgo, another pretty psychic intuitive sign. I think we've mentioned like 2 or 3 episodes before. Is conjunct Neptune. And it's conjunct Black Moon Lilith. It's all this 3 together. And it's in his 3rd house of speaking, communication, and sensory perception.
So I think he can actually, he heals people through his words as well.
Yeah, words of wisdom and spiritual wisdom, which is very much captured in Moon, Neptune, and Lilith, all conjunct in the 3rd house. And all these 3 are opposed by Saturn in Pisces in the 9th house. And this can really make him like a someone that really gives out spiritual wisdom as an elder. Saturn communicate to the people. Moon,
pretty strict belief systems, though. Kind of like
yeah.
that Saturn there in the ninth.
Well, but the saving grace is that this opposition forms a wedge to that Jupiter in Scorpio. So
It's Pisces as well. Okay.
that Jupiter actually forms like a trine sextile to this opposition, so kind of like alleviates the stress.
Alleviates, yeah. Jupiter.
And it's in his 5th house, Scorpio, where the Jupiter lies. So is that again the spiritual wisdom again. And so you can see every time that he imparts like spiritual wisdom to others, yes, it's awakening. It is very sobering message, quite realistic as well. Saturn, right? Saturn is very earthly by nature.
Very practical. Because
But
Virgo,
then that Jupiter in Scorpio, like it literally just penetrates right through your soul. So I've actually seen like for this video, I've actually seen 1 or 2 videos of his Q&A sessions where people ask him questions, 3rd and 9th house. That even like slightly before the person even finishes his or her sentence, his answer is already there. He's really got the answer almost like downloaded, and it's ready to go. You know what I mean? And that can be that Jupiter in Scorpio in the 5th house playing up. And not to mention that Scorpio, co-ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, and back into his 1st house again in Cancer, that Pluto. I also want to mention that although this video is all about clairsentience, but then it's like once you have one, you have multiple coming in as well. And we just look at his 12th house, where Mercury is, and also Chiron in Gemini in the 12th house, which means that even in his dreams or meditation, there's still message downloads coming through.
Certainly.
And this can be very much of a clairaudient ability in our previous episode.
Gemini, Mercury and Gemini.
And that 3rd house stellium with like, well, actually Venus is not in Virgo, but it's still in the 3rd house. Like 3 planets and Lilith all in the 3rd house. This can really give some form of potential clairvoyant ability as well, because that moon Neptune also sextile that sun in the 1st house and also the ascendant. So when you have one, usually there's a spillover effect because the significators just overlap each other. Yeah.
Well, there it is.
Yeah. And North Node in the 7th house, ruler, Saturn is in a water sign as well. And the South Node ruler, which is Cancer, South Node in Cancer, the ruler is the Sun in a water sign. So both nodal axis ruler are both in water signs. Can go on and on with this. So.
See, guys, it's quite clear cut there.
Yeah.
But some of the indicators, some of the examples, hopefully this will help you kind of ground this information, I guess, and start looking out for different kinds of indicators.
Yeah.
And remember to test it out in the real world as well, and start feeling if you're going to different spaces, different places, different people, like just notice what's happening in your body and what you're feeling. And
well, but honestly, like right now in the kind of abnormal dystopian scenario we're living in, going to a crowded place isn't as common.
Yeah, maybe don't go to a concert. Maybe just even like what you can actually do in these times is if you have a Zoom meeting, online meeting, you can even test it out there as well, because you're tuning into that energy as well, and see if it feels closed, what sensations are in your body, and This is how you do it. This is how you do it.
Yeah. So to the next episode then.
Oh yes, we have. I think we have a couple more planned. Or do we?
Yeah, I mean the comments are very encouraging. I mean, it's like, oh, like after you talk about this, why not talk about this? Why not talk about this? I don't know how long this series will be, going on for, but hey, as good as the last.
Basically, guys, we're going to do more. We
Yeah.
have already planned some, and we're kind of taking it as we go. If more information wants to be shared, and you are encouraging with us with your comments, of course, and let us know there, what you would like to know more about, what indicators, etc. And we'll do our best to offer this to you in the next videos.
Yeah, and if you want to contact us for a reading, everything will be in the description box anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much
Bye.
for watching,
Bye.
listening. Bye, guys.